In 1981, at a seminar that still echoes across the bodybuilding world, Mike Mentzer delivered a revolutionary message, one that challenged the dominant training dogma of his time. It was a message built on physiology, common sense, and a relentless demand for results. At the core of this message was a profound, immutable truth.
Every time you increase the duration, you have to decrease the intensity. These two things exist inversely to each other. They're mutually exclusive. You can't have a lot of one and a lot of the other.
This wasn't conjecture or personal opinion. As Mentzer emphasized, this is a basic law of physics, a universal principle.
It's demonstrated by a very simple inverse ratio graph. Demonstrates the universal relationship that exists between intensity and duration. This is not a brainchild of Mike Mentzer. This is the basic law of physics, universal principle. It applies to all activities, not just weight training, chopping down trees, studying books, sex, whatever.
The iron law, intensity versus duration. Mike Mentzer's concept of intensity wasn't vague or motivational. It was scientifically defined. He meant momentary muscular effort to the point of positive muscular failure, the kind of effort that forces an adaptive response. But, he warned, this kind of intensity cannot coexist with long workouts.
If you want to build big muscles fast, then you've got to train as intensely as possible. Because that is the one factor most responsible for building mass. And if you want to build mass, you've got to train for short periods so you can train intensely. That's the nature of the relationship. You can train either hard or you can train long, but you can't train hard and long. It's impossible. Not because I say you can't, but because it's impossible.
He emphasized that many lifters misunderstand intensity entirely, falsely believing they can train longer to achieve more.
This term intensity tends to be misunderstood. Some people think that by increasing the duration of their workouts, they're increasing the intensity, which is ridiculous. It's just the opposite. The more intensely you do something, whenever the intensity increases a little bit, the duration has to decrease a lot.
The takeaway was simple and brutal. Maximum effort demands minimum time. The sprint analogy, common sense over hype. To expose the myth that you can train hard and long, Mike Mentzer used one of the most relatable and effective comparisons in all of sport.
Is there anybody in here who can sprint for a mile? What's the longest sprint in Olympic competition? Anybody know? 400 meters. Why isn't there an 800-meter sprint or a mile sprint?
When someone in the audience replied, "It's laughable," Mike confirmed,
It's laughable, yeah, because it's ridiculous. It's impossible. Just like it's impossible to train hard for 2 hours.
This analogy perfectly illustrates Mentzer's point. True intensity cannot be sustained for long durations, not in sprinting, not in studying, and certainly not in weight training. He expanded further.
If you train as hard as you possibly can, each and every set, then the majority of you in here cannot train in 30 minutes. I'm talking about as hard as you possibly can. Every set to total failure with minimal rest in between sets.
Mentzer also clarified the importance of rest timing between sets, not for convenience, but to ensure the next set reaches true muscular failure.
Just enough rest between sets so you can go to your next set, resume your next set, and go to muscular failure as opposed to cardiovascular failure. That is not rush so fast that your cardiovascular system becomes the limiting system. You want to go to muscular failure. If you do that, you will probably not train in 30 minutes. It's not even debatable. It's fact, not theory. It's immutable. I mean, this is one of the basic laws of nature.
By anchoring his logic in real-world athletic limits, Mentzer made one thing clear. Long workouts and high-intensity training are fundamentally incompatible. The recovery sequence: stimulate, recover, grow. Training isn't just about stimulation, it's about recovery and adaptation. Mentzer emphasized a crucial sequence.
What's the first thing your body has to do after a workout? You stimulate growth first, hopefully. But what has to happen first of all? Recover.
He elaborated.
If you train, again, before recovery takes place, then the growth process can't take place. Because now you've got to recover from that next workout again. If you allow enough time for recovery to take place, but not enough time for growth to take place, you still won't grow. It takes time to recover and it takes time to grow. 6-day-a-week training is always a mistake for the purpose of building muscular mass.
It's systemic, not just muscle. Mentzer clarified that recovery isn't just about the muscle group trained, it's about the entire system.
I'm not talking about localized muscle recovery. I'm talking about recovery of the physical system as a whole. Localized muscle recovery actually takes place very rapidly. But you do 10 sets of squats, very, very heavy squats on Monday. Your legs may have recovered by Tuesday, but try to do a heavy back workout on Tuesday. You won't feel the inclination because your whole system has been called upon.
This full system fatigue is what makes brief, infrequent training so essential. The sprinter versus the marathoner. Mike Mentzer painted a visual comparison between two athletic extremes.
You ever compare the calves of a sprinter to the calves of a distance runner? The sprinter always has a large muscular calf. The sprinter always has, or the distance runner always has a stringy little calf. Because he overtrains, he's chronically overtraining.
Then came the knockout punch.
And I would venture to say the majority of bodybuilders, top bodybuilders today who are training over 2 hours a day, would look like distance runners if they weren't taking steroids.
No, you're not that different. Many argue that everyone has unique training needs. Mentzer strongly disagreed, emphasizing that the foundation of muscle physiology is universal across all human beings.
The point of the matter is we aren't all that different physiologically. We're all unique as individuals. But when a young man goes to medical school, or a young woman, and studies muscle physiology, whose physiology is he studying? Everybody. We all have the same muscle physiology. But the biochemical changes leading to muscle growth in Mike Mentzer are the same in you.
And if the muscle physiology is the same, then the optimal stimulus for growth is also the same.
What is that stimulus? The high-intensity muscular contraction. It's universal. It's a medical fact, not subject to debate.
Then, in one of the most powerful and far-reaching moments of the seminar, Mentzer widened the lens and delivered a profound, almost philosophical insight.
If we all had different physiologies, medical science could not exist. The doctor would have to study each individual as a separate physiological entity and then learn all the intricacies of his physiology and devise medicine around him. We could not have medical science. The very fact that they can take the basic principles of physiology and apply it to the whole human race is what makes medical science a viable discipline.
This wasn't just gym talk. It was a rational defense of objective truth. And for Mentzer, high-intensity training wasn't just effective. It was scientifically inevitable. Force growth, but know the cost. Mentzer reminded his audience that building muscle is never easy. It requires forcing the body to adapt.
Anybody here thinks growth comes easily? Anybody want to challenge that? Has anybody grown too fast this year? No, we all know growth doesn't come easily. You literally have to force growth. Now you tell me how you force growth with light weights, mild exertion, easy workouts. The harder you train, the faster you grow. But the harder you train, the less time you can spend training. It's as simple as that.
And finally,
sure, you can train as hard as possible for 30 minutes, then diminish the intensity and train for 8 hours after that. That's not going to result in anything except reduced progress.
Rational training is real training. Mike Mentzer's approach to bodybuilding was more than a system of sets and reps. It was a philosophy rooted in reason, precision, and respect for the biological laws that govern growth. In a culture obsessed with doing more, he dared to ask, what actually works? He didn't appeal to hype or mystique. He appealed to logic, to physiology, and to the self-evident truth that you cannot cheat nature. To train intensely is to burn through the body's reserves at a rate that demands brevity. To grow is to allow the body the time it needs to recover, adapt, and rebuild stronger.
I mean, all the theoretic and academic bullshit aside, I mean, it just follows from common sense. The harder you train, the faster you grow. But it's also true, you can't forget, that the harder you train, the less time you can spend training. Just like the faster you run, the less distance you can run.
There's something almost austere about that principle. The more intensely you train, the more disciplined you must be about doing less. In that way, Mentzer's method wasn't just hard, it was honest. He reminded us that progress doesn't come from volume or vanity, but from clarity of purpose and respect for physiological limits. Growth isn't achieved through willpower alone, but by working in harmony with the body's fundamental requirements, brief, intense effort, followed by full recovery.